Hey guys, welcome you all again for this session. In this video, we are going to see the lesson from grade 7 English. So before getting into that lesson, before I'm telling the topic, we can see something which is related to it. So the picture, what I have shown here is, that is plane, right? The word plane. What can you understand from this? You could see the letters. I mean, you could see some words are mentioned in this plane. It seems to be like Russian, right? Yeah. So this is what this is a warplane, a Russian warplane, we could say, or a Soviet Union's warplane. We can also aircraft. We could say that. Yeah. So let me share the next train. So this picture, what could you understand from this picture? Yeah, I will hold you for 5 seconds. Yes, and this is what seems to be a pilots. Yes, female pilots. You could see women pilots who are ready to be fly in the sky in the warplanes. Yeah, let me share the next. So these the photos I have shown to you. We can say they these war pilots, female war pilots, are from Russia. Women pilot groups from Russia, and they were called as night witches. Night witches is the lesson name, is a topic we are going to discuss now. So, this name, night witches, is given by the German soldiers during the World War time. Why they gave the name to the Soviet Union female pilots is, let us see why and how they gave this name to this night witches, to the Soviet war pilots. Let us see why. So see, this lesson, this poem is this prose is taken from. It's an article which is written by the author Megan Garber, and she is the one collects some informations about Russian female war pilots, and she gave it in that magazine. In that the magazine name is The Atlantic. Yeah, let's see something about her. Megan Garber is a staff writer at The Atlantic. It's a magazine name focusing on technology, culture, and the intersection between the two. She has written about everything from the history of applause to the future of space, travel for theatlantic.com and the magazine. Carver was formerly a media reporter for Harvard's Neyman Journalism Lab and a media critic for the Columbia Journalism Review, serving as founding editor for the website News Innovation section. She is a recipient of a Mirror Award for Excellence in Media Reporting. Garber holds a master's in journalism from Columbia, where she was later an adjunct professor. So she is the one who wrote this article in that Atlantic magazine she published, and it all about the night witches. You all know what is meant by night witches. It's a pet name or it's a name given by a German soldiers to the Russian, I mean, the Soviet Union war pilots. I mean, especially female war pilots. The name of female pilots were called as night witches in that time, during that World War time. So let's get into a topic. Let's see something related to it and let's see the summary of it. Yeah. So let's start summary. And this lesson, the name Night Witches, which is written by the author Mehan Carber. So let's see when it was happened. The time is 1943. During the World War time, in the year of 1943, this story took place. Okay. World War II is in full swing. Yeah, that's what I'm telling. Two Soviet pilots are flying a plane over a railway junction. It's a routine patrol. Suddenly, they find themselves face to face with a group of 42 German bombers. So, This so from this night witches unit, I mean, two war pilots were flying in the sky. I mean, the Soviet Russian planes, okay, planes, where while they are flying in the sky, while they are in a patrol duty, they could see they're just facing the German soldiers with 42 war planes, which are uh, German bombers, who are German bombers. The Soviet plane is tiny and built mainly of plywood and canvas. So you could say it's a material which is made up of the Soviet planes. I mean the Russian planes, the plane which is which is flown by the night witches. That plane is made up of tiny material, tiny, and I mean the flight, their own war planes are very tiny and built with plywood and canvas, okay, which is very thin. Naturally, the pilots duck and dive. They also shoot at the German group. Before the Soviet plane catches fire, the pilots manage to down two German bombers. One of the Soviet pilots landed in the field. People who had seen the fight rushed to help the fighter. They are impressed with the pilot's bravery. What they do not realize is that the pilot is a woman. So you see, we all know that the night witches are women, right? So at the time, that two planes, as I told, which is shooted by the German soldiers, and one plane has fall down because it was burned. It started to burn in the plane, burn that war plane. So they just fall down, but the pilot was easily escaped. And so at the time, the peoples nearby the junction, they came towards that plane, and they tried to give the first aid to that pilot. But later they get to know that it is not a lad in the sense which is a male pilot, but it is not a male pilot. What the people thought is male pilot, but actually that is the female, that is woman. So they were shocked to see that how this women pilot are really brave like that. They just had in a mind, they just expressed by giving the first aid to them. Then, see the next para. It was Tamara Padmatnik, one of the members of the 588th Night Bombers Regiment of the Soviet Air Forces. So that pilot, the name of the pilot, that woman pilot is Tamara Pamyatnik. She's one of the member in the 588th Night Bomber Regiment of Soviet Air Force, I mean Russian Air Force. This was one of the three female fighter pilot units created at the insistence of Soviet aviation celebrity Marina Raskova. The 588th was the most highly decorated female unit in the Russian Air Force. It flew 30,000 missions and dropped 23,000 tons of bombs on German armies in 4 years. Within that 4 years, that Soviet Air Force, I mean female unit, dropped and attended nearly 30,000 missions and dropped 23,000 tons of bombs on German armies within that 4 years. Okay, the members were young, aged 17 to 26. You know that in that female unit, the soldiers' age limit is from 17 to 26. Only their age is from age to 17 to 26. That's what they're telling. And incredibly brave and quite unique in history, the Soviet Union was the first nation to allow women to fly combat missions, to return fire and drop bombs. So that Soviet, you could see a lot of countries are there. They already send the women as a pilot, but Soviet Air Force, Soviet Union are the only country which allow the women to fly for combat missions. Okay, to return fire and drop the bombs. They were the one who allowed the women to fly for war. Yeah. See the next page. The fighter pilots of 588 were known by another name, that is night witches, we all know. They flew mainly at night, quietly and secretly, with their small planes, making only soft oozing noises as they flew by. It sounded like the noise of a witch's broomsticks to the Nazis. So they call the pilots Nats Dexen or Night Witches. The female fighter pilots enjoyed the name. So this name is given by this Night Witches is given by the German soldiers, which it was given for they were afraid of these women. That's why they called us Night Witches. They gave that name Night Witches to them because their flights were very tiny, and it is like it makes some noise, it makes some whoosing noise, and they were come at night, okay, to drop the bombs or to shoot them. So that is why the German soldiers call them as Night Witches. They're comparing that witches to these soldiers, okay, comparing that night I mean the Soviet female pilots with the witches. That is why they called as Night Witches. See the next para. The Night Witches had plenty to worry about, but they did not worry about the crop dusting planes being so small and flimsy. Were used mostly for training and crop dusting. A strong wind could toss a plane. They could carry only two bombs at a time, so there had to be multiple sorties every night. The planes had open cockpits, freezing the pilots' faces in the chilly night air. They carried no parachutes. They had no radar, only maps, compasses. They frequently had to fly through enemy fire, and there was always a great risk of their flimsy plane catching fire. None of this deterred the women. So, they won't bother about their life because they are really patriotic, or they only think about the enemies, how to drop the bomb on them, how to defeat them. That is what the important, that is what the main thing which is, yeah, going in their mind. That's what they're telling. See the next para. The night witches were hated and feared by the Germans, which was not surprising. What was more surprising was the lack of trust and respect shown towards them by their fellow male soldiers. At least initially, even the uniform of the night witches were hand me downs from male pilots. So, the German soldiers were really afraid of night witches, but even though they are pilots, they are war pilots in their crew, in their Soviet Union's air force. Their male pilots are not like, they don't have uh, that much of trust on them. Their own, what can we say, that is called as brother in arms, we say, the soldiers who are on the same side. They don't have any trust among this night witches, among these women pilots, okay. So, and they just treat them as very low, and their male uniforms were given to, I mean, the old uniforms are given to this female pilots, which is already used by the male soldiers. That same suits were given to them, that same uniforms were given to this female pilots, okay. Yeah, I come to the last para. A famous commander of the squad is Natasha Popova, had flown 852 missions. The world was reminded of the remarkable achievements of the night witches when Popova passed away some years ago and her obituaries were published. This non-fiction article relies on the reporting of facts and events to paint an extremely impressive picture of the night witches. So we don't know about them till now. So in this lesson, from this lesson, we are learning that bravery of the Soviet Union's that night witches crew, right? The female unit. That's what telling. Later, how it come to us, how this news, how this the information about them was spread over the country, over the world, only after the death of Popova. After the, she is one of the one of the pilot of Soviet Union. So that's what I'm telling. She died. She was passed away a year before in 2013. These non-fiction articles, after that it was published. Some of the challenges they faced were specific to the time and background, the nitty-gritty of flying and fighting. Some of them were more universal, like the prejudice they faced simply because they were female, but the women were fighters, and accordingly, they fought and overcame all those challenges to make an everlasting mark in history. So, this story, why we are learning this lesson, why they gave this uh, article to us is you should know about the bravery and courages of women. Okay, how powerful the women are. Just think about it and respect women. This is what the story ends with. Okay, this was about the women, and thank you very much for